Simone.
Ah, it is Simone. Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, Boys and Girls. I know it's not a trans episode, but I feel like it could highlight some interesting points about gender. As a trans woman, I've been treated as both male and female by society. And well, I know a thing or two about gender. And stay tuned to the end, where I'm going to give this episode a grade for gender accuracy.
Ned, help. I've got this huge paper due in English class, but I can't think of anything to write. It's like I'm stuck. You know, I never have a problem about what to say. When it comes to what to write, I'm a mute. I need tips.
Okay, what could he do in this situation? Maybe record yourself talking and then transcribe what you said?
Who cares about tips?
Just because the girl you've been chasing since the second grade moved away right when you started dating her doesn't mean it's the end of the world or the guy.
I can't help it. I just can't get Susie out of my head.
You could start by cleaning out your locker.
Not a bad
You
idea.
can't stop writing tips.
I'm done with the guide. He's not throwing out the guide. Tell me he's not serious.
I think Ned has
He
depression.
just needs to take his mind off Susie and remember how to have fun.
Cookie's right. Read a book, write a story, paint.
Susie loved painting.
Nice advice, girl. But what Ned needs is to have real fun, to eat meat, smash stuff for no reason. I'm talking on part. And that's why today you're getting away from the girls and spending a day out with the boys.
Well, this should get ugly.
Okay, so the focus of this episode, at least for the first half here, is about boys. Now, I was never a boy, despite what people might think. But I have lived amongst boys, and they have seen me as a boy. So I sort of have an idea of how boys are. And as we were saying here, Cookie was listing off hyper-masculine activities. So it's so far leaning into the stereotypical realm. But will the needle go over to the other side and show breaking stereotypes? Let's find out.
Stay out means no more talk about Susie. Susie was gonna take me to a rose garden this weekend.
But then she moved. Well, we're going to a place where boys can recklessly swing on ropes, toss some balls from behind with no girly flower in sight. The gym.
Boys.
What's with the girls and the flowers that remind Ned of Susie?
We're the garden club. We're building our Arbor Day float.
So they wanted to go into the gym because hypermasculinity, and like there's nothing wrong with hypermasculinity, regardless of who you are. That's okay, because there's a difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity. Going out and working out in the gym is not toxic masculinity. Now granted, there can be some behaviors associated with that are toxically masculine, but going to the gym is not toxic masculinity. And when they go in, they see all these girls doing flowers, which is also on the stereotypical end of the needle. Let's see, will they move the needle over?
Susie liked flowers. And Jim.
The needle is starting to shift. Susie liked the gym. And before you tell me women can go to the gym and it's not a problem, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's rooted in stereotypes, and right now stereotypes are cranked up as far as possible here. So any sort of deviation from that is a step in the right direction.
Boys are good. They're tiger lilies in full bloom.
There is an element of compulsory heterosexuality here, that their fascination with boys, while typical for people that age, is not reflective of all girls of that age. As a matter of fact, that's not true of women and girls in general. There are more options than just heterosexuality out there. Not every girl is going to be head over heels for a boy.
Mosley! Boys like you. Why don't they like me? I'm likable! Well, Evelyn, it may be that you come on too strong. I do not come on strong!
This is an issue that happens for some people, regardless of your gender. However, there is a gendered element to this. She's acting a little bit more aggressive, which is not something you commonly see in women. It's often repressed in women because we're taught that that's not socially acceptable as much as boys are, where boys might be given a lot more slack for acting like this.
Right. Teach me. Teach me your expert boy ways. Oh, no. Please.
please, 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 please,
I don't
please,
think so.
please, please, please.
And I'm not an expert.
I love the sound effects. So this show was clearly aimed at children in the early 2000s. Was I a part of that group? Yes. Do I feel old? Yes. Do the rest of the people in my life think that's weird? Yes. They swayed so far away from having any sort of queer representation on this show that they excluded aromantic people. Because aromantic people are inappropriate for children.
And begging never works on me. Please, please, please. Please, 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 please.
Okay, it worked. I'll teach you all I know about boys, whatever that is.
Yes, 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 yes.
Is what Jennifer's about to say accurate? And no, I'm not calling her Mose.
Nothing cheers a boy up like smashing something with a bat.
Do it.
That's it. You're smashing through today because deep beneath that crushed heart is my best friend who told me I can survive anything. And so can you.
This is what I was talking about earlier. When it comes to aggression in boys and in girls, girls are taught to not express it, where boys are taught to more release it. Now, there are obviously exceptions to this rule, but this is an example of how that can manifest on a society-wide level.
You're right. I need to move on and get the sting out of my heart.
That's a pretty packed orange right there.
Now the sting is in my heart. What a great tip. Never smash straight through with a bat without eye protection.
I mean,
Write it down. Come
I
on.
guess that's a good idea. Now, to be honest, I never did anything like that, but I definitely knew guys who would. So, like, this isn't far off from reality, especially for that age.
Boys need boy time. To be with other boys and do dumb boy things.
I mean, I guess that's accurate. I think we as people need social interaction, and I think for a lot of us, gendered interaction is very important. Like for me, I really love girl time, where I'm with other girls. So I get that. Like, male bonding is important to a lot of guys. For me, it just made me very dysphoric before I transitioned.
Thank you for the informative information on boys.
Did you say boys?
Oh, okay.
Teaching a class on boys?
Yes, and she's a genius.
Oh my gosh.
Guys. Girls, I am not teaching a class on boys.
What are the odds that all of the girls in the garden club are interested in boys? It's pretty likely on an individual level that someone is heterosexual, just probability-wise. I think it's like 80%. But when you look at the average there, the odds start to go down.
I like boys a lot.
I want to touch one. How do I get a boy to talk to me?
Okay. Well, for one, you could join a club or take a class that boys enjoy, like woodshop or auto shop, instead of gardening.
That may be some good advice there. However, I want to say this. When it comes to interests boys and girls may have, from my own experience, people who are assumed to be male have much harsher restrictions placed on them, I think, than those who are assumed to be female do. Now, there are certainly a lot of judgments that can be passed if, let's say, a girl wants to do a traditionally boyish activity. However, there is significantly more stigma around someone who is perceived to be a boy wanting to do girl stuff. And they might highlight that later in this episode. I remember when I watched this, one of the bullies was in the sewing club. So it would make sense that since that is a breaking of gender roles right there, especially someone assumed to be male in a predominantly female, stereotypical female space, that has more stigma to it. It's a combination of their interests plus maybe stigma that they are facing.
Susie! She's gone. All of her pictures are gone.
Just like she is.
Exactly. You need to move on. And say thank you, Gordy. You realize your locker's the first thing I've actually cleaned all year?
He hasn't smiled in 3 days, and
Okay, I think heartbreak is a normal thing, especially at that age, to be going through. And they should be allowed to feel their emotions. I don't know if this was the intent of the people who made this, but there's the idea of, like, boys should not be crying. Boys should not feel emotions outwardly. And while they haven't said that explicitly, there is sort of an undertone of that in this episode. That he's not allowed to mourn the loss of this relationship. Let him be sad. Let him be depressed. So long as it's temporary, it's okay.
he stopped writing tips.
I can fix that. And all it will cost you is $5. Who's got it? All right. Come with me.
I don't think school staff should be taking money from students. Yes, I know this is the joke there, but just wanted to point that out. Fair use!
Nobody touch it!
Of course he follows for it.
Nothing like a little teacher torture to bring that Nettie smile. Sweetie takes the money into the window and bam! Smash! He hurts, we laugh.
But the window's open.
Here's a great tip. Beware of sky teachers. Better write it down.
What's going
This is such a weird situation, I have no idea how to comment on.
on here? Thanks for breaking my fall. Are you behind this, Bigby? Why isn't he running away or lying to me? Is he okay?
He's suffering from Susie moved away syndrome. And he stopped writing tips.
And I really need one, because Canton has start this paper that's doing English, and I really need...
That's
I
disgusting.
tried cheering him up by causing you pain, but it didn't work.
You're kidding. He loves it when I get hurt. Is that bad?
I'll go to the principal's office and receive my punishment.
I don't usually say this, but can I help? Because I know what it's like to have a girlfriend move, and his guidebook does seem to help some students.
And I think the role of male bonding can be important, especially in situations like this. If you're going through a breakup, talking to someone who's been through that before can be extremely helpful. They don't have to necessarily be the same gender as you, but it can help because there's a shared experience there.
I have an idea. But we're gonna need an 18th century cloak, a fog machine, the garden club float, and boys. Lots and lots of boys.
Don't make a joke. Don't make a joke.
Boys like video games and eating worms. So they'd like a girl who likes that stuff.
A big stereotype right there. Like, I've met guys who like video games, and I've met guys who don't like video games. Most of the people I've met like video games, regardless of gender. And eating worms? Outside of gummy worms, I don't think I've ever met someone who actually eats worms. Although, wasn't there a movie about eating fried ones?
I don't want to eat worms. I want to kiss boys.
Oh, kissing.
What if I wanted to kiss a boy who likes computers? Or a boy that breathes?
Okay. Again, they're continuing on with this, like, compulsory heterosexuality talk. Where, assuming that everyone is heterosexual, and people who aren't heterosexual can feel obligated to pretend they're heterosexual. That's compulsory heterosexuality. And yeah, it is a show from the early 2000s, but did you really need to go in this direction to talk about that? Being fully honest, I don't think they would have gotten away with a girl having a crush on another girl, but they could have had a situation where someone says, you know what, I'm not really interested in anyone. And that could have probably slid past. I don't know, perhaps I'm being naive.
Okay, if there's a boy you like, find out what he likes. If it's football, talk about football.
Oh,
If it's airplanes,
that hurt.
do the airplane thing.
Ow, my eye!
And the same goes for the boy who likes computers. Blah, blah.
That's a trip to the hospital right there.
Ned Bigby, I am the ghost of Tipless Past. Ew.
What are you doing?
Play along. We worked hard on this.
Hop on.
You're leaving your backpack behind.
Look, that's you in kindergarten. You were full of smiles, full of promise, and really full of pee. Eyes watering, you could barely see, and you ran into the girls' bathroom.
This is what I'm saying. In society, there is more stigma around boys doing stuff that they shouldn't do. Imagine the reverse situation here. If a girl went into the boys' restroom, would there have been so much ridicule? It's because there is more stigma around those perceived to be male acting or doing something considered feminine than there is in the reverse situation.
Thus, the school survival guide was born! Your tips helped kids avoid bullying. See?
I wish that tip worked. Yeah, go to your administration if you need help. However, sometimes if you're queer, the resources aren't always great, but trying and having it documented is your best shot. It crashed.
Behold this!
F! 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 You all fail!
Many failed, but your tips on notebooks and stress helped them to do better.
A! 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 This is great! You all passed! Thank goodness for Ned's tips.
But what if you threw in the towel, gave up on the guide forever, and created a tipless future?
What the?
Oh, giant monkeys, come on!
Well, it could happen. And we miss your smile. And we miss your tips.
And I still have that writer's block thing, and I need some tips.
You guys did all this for me?
Feeling sorry for yourself doesn't suit you, Mr. Bigby.
Well then. I better write Martin that tip.
I can't think of one. I got tip writer's block.
You know, I've always found that a nice drive clears my brain and lets the ideas flow.
Again, I have no problem with guys who want to male bond with each other. Like, there's some good that can come out of that. The problem is just if you create like a boys club atmosphere and resort to like toxic masculinity, which I wouldn't say this is.
Boys are loyal to their friends, and they mature later than girls, which is why they seem so stupid.
Okay. The idea of girls maturing faster than boys, what ultimately that really comes down to is the fact that there's more pressure on those perceived to be girls. That you are faced with much more criticism and stigma, whereas those perceived to be boys are given much more lenient. This is what boys will be boys means. Those perceived to be boys are not held to the same standard as those perceived to be girls. That's why that phrase exists. And it's a reflection of that. So I don't think it's inherent that those perceived as girls are going to naturally mature faster than those perceived as boys. I think it's just the fact that societal pressures put on people.
Take us to see a boy. Right. A field trip to Boyville. Where boys come and sweep us off our feet with flowers.
Guys, I think we need to be realistic here.
Field trip! Field trip!
Girls! I can't just make boys appear with flowers and sweep you off your feet to a romantic garden.
I mean, tell me there are no lesbians in the gardening club. I mean, come on.
Mostly you're amazing.
Okay, maybe this is toxic masculinity. Oh my god!
We maimed him.
Okay, just
We'll
kidding.
Never write another tip again. Not so fast.
Now, if you're ever stuck on a project and can't get started, try taking a ride or walk away from it for a while, and inspiration will come.
That is some good advice. I mean, as someone who makes videos and does some live performances, I've been in this situation before, and that is legitimately good advice. take a break when you need. Just don't let your break turn into procrastination. Hey everyone, time for a brief intermission. Do you want to see an extended version of this video with parts Paramount doesn't want you to see? Well, sign up for my Patreon. All my patrons get to see extended cuts of these videos. Plus, $5 and $10 patrons get early access to these videos before they go on YouTube. And thank you to Jeremy Bottoms, my $10 patron, for helping make this possible. If you want to get a shout out in videos like this, make sure to sign up for my Patreon at the $10 level. The Damn You're So Beautiful level.
So, I'm feeling good. I'm writing tips again. But Susie said she would call when she got settled. Not one phone call. Not one.
She's been gone 3 days, and she moved to another state.
Okay, well, I'm moving on. I don't need Susie Crabgrass. If this phone rang right now, I might not even answer it. Susie, I'm so glad you called. I miss you. Are you good? Oh, hi, Mom. Yeah, put clean ones on.
Does he seriously not have caller ID?
I'm hostage by a girl that lives 200 miles away.
And you have tips.
If you're a guy who wants to know about girls and what makes them tick, check out these tips.
Or what about a girl who wants to learn more about other girls? Think about that, Ned.
When it comes to girls, remember, they wear shoes on their feet and they smell nice.
Usually. I mean, I'm currently barefoot. I'm not gonna prove it because I know what you people are up to. And I really hope I smell nice.
And?
They're people?
That's all I got. Girls are complex.
I think I can help. I understand the girl. They understand I'm the man.
Come, walk me to class now! I mean, please. Now, please!
Okay, I'm clueless.
That's pretty
Girl
abusive
tips
behavior.
fast, like ways I can avoid Evelyn and go out with Lisa. Coming, dear.
Okay, I need to find an expert on girls. Someone who knows their ways, gets inside their heads.
Fine, I'll write you some tips.
What? No. I was talking about Gordy. He is a genius. On second thought, I meant you. Most right tips on girls. That'll hopefully get me a new girlfriend. Cause I'm a free man.
And I mean, it's okay, ask people for advice. That's generally a good idea. And like, if you're interested in your opposite gender, well, then I think it would be a good idea to ask someone of that gender. Maybe they have some advice. Maybe they can help you, like, spruce up your look or something.
Okay, I need to find out how to get Lisa interested in me again.
But won't Evelyn hurt you badly if she sees you talking to Lisa?
Of course. That's why Moves is gonna do it for me. Girls are more relaxed around other girls.
That is the idea that girls are inherently more relaxed around each other than they are. Well, I guess that is sort of true because guys can be scary sometimes due to a history of like sexual harassment, sexual assault. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean girls necessarily get along with each other. In fact, I've had some big fights with some girls, so like, that's not exactly real true.
So, you find out what she likes in a guy, and I'll be that guy.
Too late. Mose is helping me. Find your own girl researcher girl.
My own girl researcher girl.
There
Okay.
you go. Survival
Is this
tips on
a
girls
Simone
created by
episode?
the superior girl mind.
Great. But there's one thing you forgot, Girl Tip Master.
What? If you're a guy
Breaking the
who's
fourth
girls,
wall.
check out these tips. Girls like honesty, not phoniness. So always be yourself.
I think that's a good advice, but I think that's also true of just people in general, that like being dishonest isn't a great quality to have if you're trying to get to know someone.
And girls talk about their feelings. So instead of talking, be a good listener.
I will say that this is very, very true. It's not true 100% of the time, but from what I've found, this is one of the biggest differences in terms of gender I have seen. Again, it's a stereotype, but it's one of the more common ones I've seen. That sometimes that we just want to vent. We're not looking for a solution. Stuff like that. And that's important to keep in mind. We like listening and having that meaningful conversation. At least most of us.
Purposes. I thought it should be classified under dairy food group, not the purple.
And don't forget, girls don't think anything to do with farts is funny.
Yeah, that's pretty true, especially for people of a certain age. Again, those perceived to be female do mature much faster because there is a different societal pressure around stuff like this. That it's far less stigmatized in those perceived as boys and those perceived as girls.
To meet girls, get involved in activities girls like. Art, home ec, yearbook, and choir. Sure, there won't be many guys there, but that's the point.
It's an interesting piece of advice, right? But I would be very careful with this advice. If you're only going into those clubs to meet people, if you know what I mean, that is not a good idea, and that's kind of creepy. And I also find it interesting that she suggested pretty gender-neutral activities as opposed to more stereotypical feminine activities. Again, it comes down to that stigma that those who are perceived as male being anything feminine is something to be ashamed of. That's the same root stigma right there.
Today we have 2 new members in choir class. I want you to make them feel welcome.
When I was in school, you couldn't just change class like that. I don't know what they did.
Hi, I'm Simone.
Ah, it is Simone.
Hey! What are you doing? I'm going undercover to find out what Lisa really likes in a guy.
I don't think it's this.
Yeah, I don't quite know how to respond to that. I mean, yeah, let's assume for a moment that Lisa is, in fact, straight and not like bi or pan. Lots of heterosexual guys actually are cross-dressers, so it's a little weird, but like I get where Ned's coming from. It's just a very weird joke there.
Less talking, you two, and more singing. I want you to sing the first thing that comes to your heart. Ladies first.
Odd instructions.
Ave Maria.
I have my mother's eyes, but my father's voice.
Okay, there are some natural differences between voices. Yes, it can be more pronounced for different genders, but this is still a case of a stereotype there. It is within the realm of possibility for a cisgender, non-transgender woman to have a deeper voice. That happens too. Not to mention a lot of trans femmes like myself are still able to tap into that deeper voice. This is my deeper voice. But as you see, I don't often use it that much. It's not my everyday voice. And I mainly use it when I'm doing a Dungeon Master session for characters. But I've also heard of trans women and trans femmes like being opera singers and using their naturally deep voice. And that should not be taken away from someone's gender identity or who they are as a person.
You look very familiar to me. Yes.
Oh
yes,
no,
yes.
someone's about to get caught. And the power's out. The idea of, like, Simone being caught is an interesting idea here. And it is scary. Again, there's that same stigma around those perceived as male doing feminine things. And one of the big ones there is dressing in a feminine way and expressing yourself in a feminine way. Those are some big examples of that. And it can be somewhat dangerous and risky to do that. But for some of us, we need to do that to survive because it's who we are and what we need to do for ourselves. And there should not be shame surrounding that.
So, did my tips help you find any potentially special girls? All I found was Cookie. You look good, but she's not really my type.
It's difficult that they're portraying it in that way in this show, especially marketed towards children who should be taught to be more accepting of people.
Well, then what is your type of girl?
Susie, but she's gone. And she still hasn't called. I'll never find another girl like Susie. I'll be alone forever.
Come on. There's lots of other fish in the school.
Let Ned grieve.
What is Ned Bigby's perfect girl?
Okay, my perfect girl would have to be funny, smart, athletic, have a great smile, and be a great friend. And I'll know when I see her, because golden light will hit her just right, and the angels will sing.
Oh, please.
Yeah! The lights work!
Coincidental timing there.
Well, can you please fix the ones in my music room so we can go back dancing?
What?
Oh, that little musical motif for Simone. I'm not a fan of that, especially considering Simone is supposed to be played by a middle schooler, which is creepy. Thankfully they haven't done like the pan up or down yet, because that's objectification, and that shouldn't be done for people in general, but like especially for people who are under 18, like you really should not be doing that. That's especially creepy.
Hey, watch it! Oh, girl.
I have never been girled before. I've been hello miss, hello ma'am, but that's a bit of an odd introduction.
Sorry, can't get this stupid thing started.
Try flushing the carburetor, then adjust the spark plugs to 1/16.
How do you know about engines? You're a girl.
Stereotypes.
I rebuilt the V6 with my dad last year, bored the heads and gave it 30 more horsepower. See ya.
Yeah. See ya. Mystery girl who knows about guy stuff.
Hey there, lonely boy. How would you like a date with Sasha Newkirk, Amy Mangold, Becky Sherwood, and a bunch of other girls today?
How?
Let's just say I got you great girl tips, and now I'm gonna get you a great girl.
It's not Cookie, is it? Because let me reemphasize strongly, he's not my type.
So, Simone, how do you like it here so far?
Well, everyone seems nice, but I miss my boyfriend. He's this really hot computer whiz. There ought to come by. Trust me. So, do you have a special someone?
Sorta. I'm not sure. No, I guess.
Just between us girls. What would it take for a boy to become your special boy? What would he have to do?
Okay, this is very weird. Don't cross-dress so that you can learn more about someone so that you can become an item with them. Don't do that. It's creepy. It's weird. Cross-dressing isn't weird, but getting in any sort of disguise to try to infiltrate someone like this is just weird.
Well, I'd love it if a guy gave me chocolates and flowers. It's just so thoughtful and romantic.
Okay.
I have to move back to Washington now. Nice knowing ya.
You're nuts. The Pistons don't stand a chance against the Spurs.
Sure they do. The Spurs guard tore his ACL. They're horrible from the line, and their bench lacks depth. Take the Pistons and the points. See ya.
Walking in heels takes a lot of practice. I would not recommend going out in heels for the first time without practice. I would also recommend try doing different environments. Start off slow, flat environment, and then build up from there. Try stairs. Don't go rushing out in heels without any sort of practice. Trans and cis women both shave. It's a stereotype that cis women don't shave, but it's absolutely true. There's a reason like laser hair removal exists. Although frankly, I also would not recommend doing that like as you're getting to know someone. Like do that in the bathroom before you see them.
I found the way to Lisa's heart. She likes chocolates and flowers. I ordered them express. I'm gonna give them to her later.
Give them to her. And be a dude again. Please.
Deal. See ya.
Neg, learn to be more accepting of your friend. Even if they're a crossdresser, you should be accepting of someone. Whether they're trans, a crossdresser, or maybe both. You gotta be accepting of them. Because this is an important part of someone's reality. And I know people are gonna argue, they're just kids. Kids can know this stuff too. I certainly had a feeling of like, yeah, something's really wrong here. Like, I probably should have been a girl when I was this age, and even younger than that. So it was like, we know. Not to mention the research also pans this out if that's something important for you to know. Oh, the classic dilemma. If you're ever in a situation like this, please just go into the one that best matches your appearance. That may be illegal in some places, but it's for your best safety. And if you're in a place where it is illegal, my best advice in that situation is hold it as long as possible until you have a private bathroom or a neutral bathroom. Because, as we've seen recently, things can get quite ugly when people think you're not supposed to be where you belong. Also, how did they get changed? Did they, like, do that before school and then they got dropped off that way? Because that would be interesting, or I don't know. How did they do this before and not run into a problem?
Simone! It's me, Billy.
Oh, hi. I have to change.
Don't ever change. No girl's ever told me to flush my car but take the points.
What?
It's like you know how guys think and what they like.
Well, I'm a complex individual.
You're special. And
Don't touch someone without their
the
consent.
real you.
No, you don't. Trust me.
Yeah, I'd run in that case too. Oh, we got a Cinderella thing. And the shoe glows.
Well, it was nice talking, Ned.
For sake. It's a stereotype about voices, but there are women and girls with deep voices. Some are trans and some are cis, and that's okay. Be accepting of people.
It's all the girls, and it scares me to say it, but Cookie was the hottest.
Come on, don't give up. Your perfect girl is out there. We just have to find her.
Of course.
Yes! I finally fixed the light socket!
Yes, but it still darkens the music room.
Ah, someone's smitten. Okay, that makes some sense. If you have a private place like that to do the change, if you need to do that, that's fine. That would be ideal. Safety.
Loomer okay?
No, Simone. She came into his life and flew away. Like the wind. We had so much in common.
A lot more than you think.
Oh, that was kind of weird. Again, sex and gender are different. Sex is about your biology and your anatomy, and gender is about who you are and your place in society.
The pain is so real. It's like somebody gave me an atomic noogie in my heart.
I ran into Simone before she left.
Aw, that's nice.
She wanted me to give you these. She had to leave in a hurry. Her dad's in the CIA.
She got these for me?
Yeah, she said you're a really great guy. But she wants her shoe back. It's her mom's.
He borrowed from his mom the clothing, I imagine. What, did he steal from her, or did he ask for permission? These were important questions I had when I watched this episode, because it was very important for me to know that, as a very closeted trans girl. Okay, so that was Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, and let's give it a rating for gender accuracy. For the good side of it, they talk about gender as gender. They're not relating it to sex, which would probably be inappropriate for a children's show now that I think about it. However, on the other hand, they also resort to some big stereotypes, and especially stereotypes about breaking gender norms, especially with Simone. I am overall pretty mixed on the representation of Simone. I think it's an accurate depiction of the stigma gender variant people can have in society, but I also think it's not a great representation of the show, especially of children, that children should be taught to accept people for who they are and not make fun and ridicule them. So That all being said, I'm gonna be a little generous, given that they talked about gender as a social construct. I would say that it is C for accuracy. They lean heavily into stereotypes in a problematic way, but overall, you might learn a thing or two about gender from it. Hey everyone, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this. Plus, I also made a reaction to SpongeBob SquarePants. If you would like to see that, link is on screen. Thank you so much. Goodbye.